This LifeSpark narrative that you are about to hear is part two of a series entitled The Illusion of Reality. Let me encourage you that if you have not already listened to part one, to please stop now and do so. We hope you will enjoy your journey with us as we search together for the meaning of reality. As the pastor and I walked into the auditorium of the Pacifist Community Center, finally getting out of the parking lot, which, by the way, it was extremely crowded, and neither of us could believe our eyes how packed the inside of the center was already. People were not only crowded into the plush chairs to overflowing, but extra chairs had already been placed at every spot in the aisles around. And the walls, well, let's just say the walls were covered with people. I simply cannot believe what I am actually seeing, he exclaimed, while scanning the auditorium. Where in the world did all these people come from? Why, if you took all 3 townships and put them together that surround our own, you probably could not get such a huge attendance, much less an interest in any one subject, at least not to my knowledge. His face was very flushed, and I noticed a great deal of tension in his body. I became concerned that he might be getting ill, since he struggles very regularly, with high blood pressure. Pastor, are you feeling okay? Why, yes, of course. Why do you ask? I noticed that your face became very red, and how tense you seemed to be. I was just concerned for you. It's just that I see so many of my own people here, to my great surprise already, and probably, I would guess, half the church is here. And I am just absolutely dumbfounded, to be truthful. Speechless, really. Such an amazing interest in this biometrics topic. I simply have no idea what's going on. I thought my church was more founded than that, more solid in biblical foundation. I guess there's a lot of work I've got to do. Well, Pastor, I'd say from the looks of it, you have a well-informed membership. If I had to make a guess, it appears something much bigger than a seminar is going on here. But, what do I really know? While the pastor and I were standing at the back of the auditorium, contemplating how we might get through the sea of human people, the mass of wall-to-wall, door-to-door, hands-to-hand people, no matter which way you tried to get forward to the front, it was obvious that our efforts were going to be futile. We were stuck to remain standing almost in the doorway for the rest of the 2-hour seminar, if that was our choice. But suddenly, coming through as if the parting of the sea was happening, 2 well-dressed men came walking directly towards us, both of their eyes fixed on us. I don't know them. They're strangers. "Excuse me, gentlemen," one of the well-dressed men said, looking directly at Pastor Doubt. "Dr. Wise has invited you to the front of the auditorium, where he has 2 reserved seats for both of you. Will you please follow me, sir?" Whoa! Before either of us could even respond, the man began leading us through the throng of people. And strangely enough, the other man fell right in line directly behind us, one in front and one behind. The sea of people parted just as if some magic hand was moving them apart as we walked slowly towards the front of the auditorium, much like, I guess, the Red Sea parted for Moses when he was leading Israel out of Egypt. Believe it or not, in the midst of hundreds of unseated people, we, who are we, were being directed to the front of the auditorium. Directly in the front, now get this, of the speaker's podium. Wow. While in most stadium, at least as I understand it, situations, you pay premium price to get in front of the action. And here we are, for some strange reason, in front of a stranger who really seems to know the pastor, but we don't know him at all, has placed us in a reserved priority seating in front of him. Indeed, this is strange. So many questions began to raise through my mind as we were seated, as I am sure it was also racing through his mind more than mine. However, we both sat very quietly, as if in complete contemplation, maybe perhaps a daze. After several minutes passed, I looked at the pastor. "What do you make of all of this?" "I will have to admit, Pastor, all this seems really bizarre to me. Even to me, Pastor. First, we have Dr. Wise, who walks and meets us in the parking lot. We don't know him. We don't even know what he looks like, really. We haven't seen his face. He certainly doesn't know us, and he walks directly up to us in the parking lot. He does not introduce himself, even though we're complete strangers. And then, during the discourse of his conversation with you, not me, he calls you by name. Now, that in itself is bizarre. But if that is not enough, how, once again, here we are, singled out. I'm going to use the phrase, Pastor, singled out, because I don't believe there's another explanation for this. We're singled out, and we're given assigned and priority reserved seats directly in front of the speaker himself, within an overflowing auditorium of people who were here long before we were. It seems they started arriving an hour before the meeting. There are absolutely no seats available in this auditorium. In fact, Pastor, I believe you'll agree with me, there's not even standing room anymore. And on top of this mystery is the placement of our seats. Not to the left, not to the right. Would have been glad to get anywhere within the first 3 rows of the podium, but directly on the front row before the podium where he will be speaking. And what will he be speaking on, which seals the mystery? A topic very few people know about, except whatever has been given us through the media, the subject of biometrics, the intelligence community of the United States of America and the world to identify any individual through a number of ways other than their fingerprints. Now, I'm going to have to tell you, this is indeed strange. Pastor Doubt did not move an inch, nor did he give any indication whatsoever that he even heard me. For some reason, his eyes were fixed on the left side of the auditorium, as if he was looking at something very intently. Suddenly, he mumbled under his breath. I was able to barely understand him. "Oh no. Oh no. I do not believe my eyes. No, not him also." Well, before I could ask him of whom he was speaking, who he was referring to, of all the people who walked up to us in a packed auditorium was Judge Wright. Well, look who I found in the sea of humans. What on earth are you doing here at a biometric seminar, Pastor? Why, it is hard to believe my eyes. I looked over at the pastor, and oh, was his face bright red. I was just absolutely sure that he was going to have a stroke. Yes. Well, hello, Judge Wright. What an absolutely amazing and, I might add, pleasant surprise to see you at a biometric seminar. Regarding while I'm here, yes, I know you have heard me speak on times against this and expand upon it, but I decided to come and find out with my friend here for myself. You know, the buzz seems to be about this biometric security worldwide, naturally, country. And even though we're a small township, insignificant, probably don't even register on the map, I decided that it might be interesting and important for me to at least have a little information about this if I'm going to speak on it at the pulpit from time to time. So, Judge Wright, let's just say what brings me here is that, and now let me ask you, what brings a reputable circuit judge of this district here to this meeting, a meeting that I would assume would be extremely controversial and could cause you some election problems in the future? Yeah, well, most people tend to think that way in a small district, but if we were in a bigger district, you would probably have a whole different viewpoint of this. But let me, I suppose, Pastor Doubt, you might say all government representatives of the people, which I am one of, in a very strategic and powerful seat, all of us have an increasing interest in the increasing epidemic terrorism and the violence and the moral decay of our culture, and in specific in America. And let me bring it down in specific this district that I represent of all 4 townships. So I have an important reason to be here. I would say that the subject of national security is a priority importance for all of us, wouldn't you, Pastor? And especially of a judge who is responsible for the security of the people. However, what really surprises me, Pastor Doubt, is that you are here. Your presence, in view of some of the statements that you have made from the pulpit lately, that you would be here in a meeting that, shall we say, you are an opponent of. I am just amazed. I did not expect you, of all people. I do notice that a large number of our church members are here, and I am very proud of that because they will be more versed in the security and the surveillance that is coming our way very shortly. But you? That really surprises me. Both Pastor Dowd and myself sat several minutes in complete silence. Both avoided looking at each other while Judge Wright made his way back through the sea of people to his seat, which was also on the front row. Well, Pastor, it seems the entire subject of biometrics and national security is a lot bigger than you and I ever thought of. I have to admit, Pastor, I'm taken back myself. I had no idea that this was this big. And I might add, for some unknown reason, our little area, which I doubt if you could see it on the map hardly, has attracted some pretty important national attention by security specialists, which is pretty clear from the presence of an expert like Dr. Wise, who mysteriously shows up in our little township of such a small number, even in our little district, as Judge Wright mentions it, and is going to hold a 2-hour meeting. Why, you remember, if you look around, there are 2 men at every entrance, 2 men at every exit, and they're very well dressed. They're all dressed alike, coats, button, ties, very well built, very good shape. Almost like they're monitoring the entrance and exit. And then you remember they had those little whatever in their hand monitoring who's coming and going, like the airports. They're checking for, I don't know, it almost scares me to say weapons. I think we're into something much bigger. And perhaps there was a divine purpose for both of us being here, I would say. Perhaps. Perhaps. Turning and looking directly at me. Indeed, it would seem so. This is the conclusion of Part 2 of The Illusion of Reality. We invite you to contemplate on this story and go back and read it. The names, the concepts, and the subject matter are pertinent to today in the times that we live. There are hidden seated messages throughout each of these life spark stories that impact and that will impact and that have impacted your and my life and the lives of our children as they grow up, marry, and become citizens. Let me encourage you to take a pen in hand, keep a notebook, go back and take notes, and you too will see some of the hidden themes running through our stories that are revealing some of the secrets and some of the revelation of what our part is to be in the national security of the world, of our community, and the threat of global control. Thank you.